All right, Thursday, October 10th, the CPI report comes out, so watch for that. The expected CPI report is around 3% for this year, so really anything over 3%, 3.5% will probably tank the market. Anything under 2.5%, the market will probably really spike. In fact, even 3% could really help the market because it will be benign enough to where the Fed can continue to cut rates. Comparing to the last few years of being at 4 to almost 10% rate. So if in 2022 you had $10,000, you would need $12,000 now to match what that once was. How did I get that? If you have $10,000 and you multiply it times 1.1, that would be 10% gains. That takes you to $11,000. So $11,000 is what you would need by the end of 2022 to match what you started with at $10,000 at the beginning of the year because of the inflation. Then you multiply that times 1.04 for the next year, and now you're at 11,400. And then this year was another 3% on top of that, so now you're at 11,700. And we're projecting 2% for the next year, which I almost wish they wouldn't project something like that, because now if we don't hit the 2%, people are going to be disappointed, and that may tank the market. So you need $12,000 just to match what you once had at $10,000. To put it in a different perspective, if you were making $100,000 in 2022, you need to make $120,000 to match what you once had, just to have the same amount of money you once had in 2022. Or another example, a $50,000 income earner would need to be making $60,000 by next year. That would mean you have 20% gains or 20% growth on whatever your annual income was at the time. So to me, I think we need negative inflation, because even zero inflation, we're still going to be way high. So we would need a negative inflation just to get the numbers to come back down to costs that we're more accustomed to paying. The problem is, to get down to 10,000 now, we would need to get like more than a 15% rate cut, inflation cut, and that's not going to happen. And unfortunately, even if the inflation was down to like a negative 1%, it would create a panic in the market that we're going into a recession, which I would be trying to say, don't panic. We're way high from what it was in the first place. Don't be so concerned about eggs costing less than what we're already paying. We're paying a fortune for a lot of stuff at the stores that the percentages are much higher than 20%. So I think a negative inflation would be a good thing. And if the market tanked on that news, it would, to me, just be a great buying opportunity. All right, anyways, that's how I got to those numbers. That's how inflation is affecting us. Watch for the CPI report to come out October 10th. And then after that, hopefully, if the market's down, it'll be a great buying opportunity. And I'm looking for earnings to come out positive, especially for the AI on semiconductors.